Thanks for staying with us. So our conversation today is about the recruitment process in Nigeria. Sometimes it's often marred by man-no-man racketeering, bribery, corruption, and even nepotism. Recently, a federal lawmaker openly boasted about securing employment for her constituents in the civil service. Today, we're just talking about these long-standing anomalies, if you'd say, that have become widely celebrated norms in our society. Joining us to converse with us is Mr. Alex Unya. He's a social commentator and will be joining the ladies in this conversation. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good to have you.
So you can also join the conversation on 020-163-52013, 090-241-63440. You can also send us messages on X and also on YouTube. We'll be happy to read your thoughts. They call it racketeering, they call it nepotism, they call it man-no-man, all sorts of labels they give to it. However, this is a practice that has been almost normalized in our part of town. And the truth is that everybody does it. I don't want us to be hypocritical here and act as if nobody has ever done it among the people we know. Because even here, on a daily basis, every single day I get a call. Please, I have a daughter that wants to do internship. Can she come? I'm thinking there's a process. All you need to do is go online to TVC Communications, find out and apply. The process is transparent. The system is in place, but nobody wants to believe there's a system in place. Go and call Morayo. You have somebody there. You know someone. I'm wondering, what can I do? Because it's until the department says I need somebody. I can't just throw you in there like back in the day where just bringing somebody and putting them. So everybody calls everybody, and that's the truth. So do we therefore, must we label it, and I'm talking to the ladies also, must we label it as nepotism or racketeering or man-no-man, or is that the reality? Because if I was living in a different country and I know somebody who can do a job, I can say, bros, this position apply, and because I feel he might be qualified, I'm behind him. What do you think it's nepotism? Do you think it's racketeering, or do you think I'm trying to find the right phrase to say. How would you say it, especially how the lawmaker had posted about employing people in our own constituency? Do you think it's
I think it depends on context.
Okay.
So for private institutions or private organizations, sometimes I know that when there's a job opening, sometimes they even start from sourcing in-house to see who wants to, move or switch positions, and then they can say, oh, even when they put out the public, notice to say we're hiring, some people who know, some current members of staff who know proficient people, and so that's the key word. Just because you know someone, that doesn't secure you the job itself. You still have to come and prove your mettle, right? So that for private institutions. However, for public institutions or federal parastatals, you know that it has to be slightly different, because we can pass the wrong message, and it's important that fair play continues to exist and that equal opportunities are presented to everyone. Even with our public positions, public office positions, we often say, oh, the reasons why we go to elections and all of that is so that we can get the best man for the job. So I think context matters. However, with this particular lawmaker, if you read the story, it's very sketchy. Information is very scanty. So what was said is that she said that she secured federal employment for constituents into FIRS, National Assembly Service Commission, and TED Fund. And according to her words, I just want to quote her verbatim, she said she secured these employment positions for her constituents. She didn't mention to us if these are people that she knows personally. The thing that stands out from what she said.
Hold this on. Kind of details
the
now.
thing that she said that stands out is that from her constituency.
Yeah.
So it could be that people walked into her office and random people walked in and said, "Oh, are there job openings?" And then submitted their CVs, and she found credible people. Yes. So she didn't say, "Oh, my cousin."
Okay.
Unless do we have evidence to prove the fact that she knows these people personally?
So she hasn't done anything wrong in your view?
No. I'm not saying that she hasn't done anything wrong. Okay. If we can prove that there were elements of man-no-man, existed, then we can continue to have this argument. But just saying that she employ people in her constituency, it's like if somebody is in charge of Sule constituency and there's a call or something and people just
because part of your job as a leader in your constituency is also to get jobs for your constituents.
Exactly. So to cater to the interest of your
that you provide jobs. Abigail, let me come to you.
So I was going to say, you just took it out from my mouth. She's representing Okigwe North. And I think the first thing she will want to do is to look out for her people first. The first thing is, are they deserving? Did they really deserve the position? If they are, of course. If you need me to recommend someone for a job, you don't need me to go and get a stranger. It has to be somebody I know.
Yeah.
You can vouch for.
That I can vouch for. So I don't know why they are bashing her.
Exactly.
Because I don't see the big deal in it. But you know, Nigeria, we like to overstretch stuff, especially if it doesn't affect us directly. The people actually bashing this woman, they are doing it differently in their places. Talk about education, when they will tell you your catchment area, okay, these people, they are not well educated, so they can have 160, while the other ones will have 120. Is it not the same thing we are talking about? So this thing has really eaten deep into the fabric of our society. And I remember those days in schools when you have to have your defense and all that, or exams, they get external lecturers to come and do the supervision, so you don't have to go through, okay, this lecturer is my favorite, he can score me higher or so. So they do stuff like that. So for me, if there's a process for employment and she went through that process, okay, there's an opening in FIRS, these are the people I know, I recommend them, they go for the interview and they pass, it's fine. It's not like, I have a sister in Abuja, please just give her work. That's where I have issues with. Yeah. And we know that this is what has been thriving in Nigeria so far.
Let me come to you, Toby, because I know these things happen, right? But we are trying really hard, our generation is trying really hard to change that narrative. And I think a lot of people are beginning to realize that you have to apply, because you can't just say, oh, Chika needs a job. Please, Morayo, find her a job. How? Just come and do it. It doesn't work. There's no company existing that will just put you in, plug you in just because. There has to be an opening. But Toby, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that the major cause of reason for this is the level of development of systems and structures in Nigeria. We don't have such systems that allow for that process of, when you get in, go through the process, right? And it speaks to our level of development as a nation. So when we say we have somebody that has a job, right? When we even say, go to apply, they're saying, no, there just has to be another way. But even when you're saying that, no, this is the system, they still don't believe you because they feel you don't want to help. Exactly. So that is eating deep into our systems. Even when we want to do the right thing, we understand that there's always one door somewhere that someone can actually open. And one of the things people complain about is that they don't actually know when these parastatals are employing.
Exactly.
Right? So the fact that you will just hear that XYZ has recruited 2,000 people. We don't see those applications. They're not as public. Let me put it that way. They're not as public, right? Even though they're out, right? They're not as public. And those things also make people have that mindset of saying that this thing, there has to be. And I think that it speaks to relationship management. Man, no man, yes. Woman, no woman, yes. But at the end of the day, you have to know somebody and have maintained a certain level of relationship with that person. Because if someone comes to me out of the blues and says, my niece needs a job, I'm like, you've not even maintained this relationship for you to be asking for this kind of thing. So I think also at the end of the day, it speaks to relationship management.
Okay, also, I'll come to you. I'm going to go on a short break because this is public service. For a company, you might need skilled labor for certain tasks. But for public service, there is a system in place. You are a plug-in. This is how we do. When you wake up in the morning, when you come to the office, you fill this form, put it to this table, you pass like this, every form you get, it's a plug-in. So you don't need any specific kind of skill. So anybody, man, no man, I have one sister that just got to say, yeah, come to fit.
And should be a good fit.
Anybody can be a good fit. Because you will learn, you will be trained into the system, and you know. So you're not looking for a skill. So why is there a problem with man, no man, especially because in the political circle, you still need to fulfill your political obligations to your constituents, because you are a lodger. You helped in getting galvanizing people. You call the young people. You are promising the people that I will get you jobs in government, because government job doesn't need you to go and learn AI or doesn't to go and learn some kind of skill. It's just a plug-in. Go in there, they teach you the process, and you follow it. Yeah. But let's go on the break. When we come back, we'll discuss this further. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this issue of man, no man to get a job. And I'm coming to our guest now, Mr. Alex. What are your thoughts on this, especially juxtaposing that with what the lawmaker had said outrightly over the social media.
Okay, so in terms of the lawmaker, it's kind of complicated anyway. So, but the point is this: I've noticed that we have started normalizing error in our society. For me, I have a dream for Nigeria, and my dream is very simple. We need to be able to restore merit in our society. Because you go through school, spend 6 years, of course, probably 16 years in school, and you had first class, and somebody has third class, and the same job both of you applied for, the person with third class is already getting that job. And sometimes they put it to your face that I'm going to get the job before you. And you are sitting at home for 5 years without a job, knowing that, what? Because you don't know somebody. Is this what we want to normalize because you know a politician? That's absolutely wrong. So when we see something that is wrong, we need to know it. Then secondly, the one that is more painful for me is this. You're a medical student. You spent your entire years in school. To get an ordinary internship placement, you are being asked to pay 400,000, whether you made first class or not. Whether aside from MBBGS, in terms of with medical lab, pharmacy, and the rest, you have to pay for state or federal university and federal teaching hospitals. Why should you pay?
Maybe to reduce the numbers of people, because there are lots of people trying to get in.
No,
So just trying to see.
That is absolutely wrong. You want to work in immigration, you have to pay. Police, you have to pay. CBN, you have to pay. I'm even hearing that CBN, you can even pay as much as 8 million to get a slot. So how do you expect to pay to come into a system? And you wouldn't want to steal and get your money back.
That's it.
So that's why it's important that we restore merit in our system. If you work hard, you should have an expectation. When you say school is a scam, why is it a scam? Because I know that if I waste my time studying to be able to make a first class, I can get this job. So what's the point? I would just rather go and learn trading earlier on and stop wasting my time. So that is why we need to, so these things are wrong. Whether it's been normalized for several years, that doesn't make it right.
So the point you're making right now makes sense, but I'm talking about so that happens. But the reality is, wherever you are in the world, somebody knows somebody. So when you go to a different country where you see the regular citizens, you have to go through the system that is in place. But there's a higher level that you might never get to. The levels of maybe Trump's children or Elon Musk's children, they are in a different level where it's about, okay, you might not get a first class, but because I know Trump as my friend, or I know, what are the rich guys' names? One of any of those big names, right? Bezos' family members. I say, go and work for Jeff because we have that relationship. So there's that level. That happens.
Let me tell you something. Whether Elon, whether Jeff, whether Trump, look at their academic qualifications of those children. See, those jobs they are in, trust me, they are actually qualified to be there. So when you see that, when two people are equal and somebody have an undue advantage, maybe because of your political position, of your family influence, that is understandable, right? But a situation whereby you made first class, you are qualified to be here to add value. Somebody made third class or even managed to graduate. You people are not even in near par. So if you take the third class ahead of the first class, which message are you trying to pass?
Let me take this call, Nneka. I'll come back to you. Good morning. Thanks for calling, Nneka. You're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Okay, your topic is very interesting.
Go ahead, Nneka.
I just have my reservation because I won't say Nigeria has actually failed us, but Nigeria has failed me. I know when I worked in the bank, I worked with a financial institution, and I worked there for 12 years before COVID-19 happened. When I went out to seek for a job in different organizations, I went somewhere, I don't want to mention the organization's name. When I got there, I was told to bring 3 million naira to be able to get the job. The person just told me, said, look at, I will just put your name here. Do you understand the situation of the country? I went to another organization. I was told, you don't belong to our cabal or something like that. In my very before, don't mind my English, in my presence, someone was giving an appointment letter that cannot even sign signature. She was asking someone beside to help her to sign signature. This is the corruption in this country that I don't even understand.
Neka, let me pause you for a second. I want you to correct yourself, because those are Nigerians that did that to you, not Nigeria. So Nigerians who did that to you are the corrupt people. The nation Nigeria didn't do that to you. I hope you understand the difference.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I
All
do.
right, so we'll discuss it now. Coming back to, so that's the Nigerian speaking, who went to a random company and they're asking her to pay 3 million naira. Now that is illegal. That is wrong. That's what we're talking about, the racketeering. That in itself is illegal. And I didn't want us to mix that up with man, no man, because that's where my own confusion is.
Is it like you can use the word recommendation?
Recommendation.
No, recommendation is normal, right? But
I can have a preference because I know you and I know your skill. I know your ability. Even though Toby is qualified, she's a first class. And I say, okay, for this job, I think I'd rather go on Alex because I know him and I can.
Recommendation is a global practice.
Exactly.
Right? But there are some jobs that going through the process becomes critical, especially when it has to do with medical or engineering. You can't use because you know somebody and be able to do something that create, like for instance, what happened with Boeing that they had a lot of issues. It's because of things like this. So there are areas that you don't take those things to, right? So this is one thing that we need to know the difference.
Ladies want to jump in here?
So I hear you, which is why earlier on I spoke about context, that, in certain cases, it might not have so much of far-reaching consequences if someone comes recommended and comes on board, as long as they have proven themselves that they are a perfect fit, they're proficient, they have the requisite skills to actually take up that job. That's different. But in certain other spaces, which you've just mentioned, like maybe in the military, for instance, or maybe in education, you absolutely have to go, through due process. But so my question is, we know for a fact, we're not disputing here that we know that corruption happens, racketeering happens. I just, from the very, sketchy information that this lawmaker gave, I couldn't prove beyond reasonable doubt that she went and just picked people and put them in position. If that happened, then of course what she has done is blatantly wrong.
But what I'm even in that one, so the truth of the matter is, I've seen such applications before. And what I normally say is, do you know anybody that got 2-1 in engineering? Do you know anybody that got this? And people will start rushing for this. So at the end of the day, it may actually be the most qualified people that she picked.
Yeah, so that's why I actually don't like talking about people. I like to we can reference it and then pack it and then talk about, focus on the issue exactly. Abigail, want to jump in?
So I was going to say that most of the time you see the decay in the society. For instance, when I was in the in camp, National Youth Service Corps, I understood that most of those high staff, they have slots. So because one of the staff of the camp at Ekiti actually found me interesting, he asked me where I wanted to serve, and I told him, okay, this is where I wanted to serve, because he had the slot. Now, he was able to recommend me because of what I did in camp. So you can't fault him for that, because he had the slot, and he has someone that could fit in that slot. Now, what I was going to say is, sometimes when we give people jobs that are not deserving, that's where we start looking for expectations, and that's why you start having issues of, do you know who I am? Negligence in duties, and most of the time they don't even know what they are there for. And then you just say that when you say civil service, they just go sit down in the office from morning till night, wasting the our resources. Meanwhile, there are people actually looking to fill up that space that can actually make a difference. So that's the only thing I think we want to take it.
Yes, I want to take Gania's been holding. Good morning, Gania. Thanks for calling. You're live.
All right, good morning, Morayo. Good morning, the rest of the crew.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm a first-time caller and I'm also a recruiter.
Nice.
Okay, so my own perspective to this issue is that I believe that irrespective of, there's different recruitment processes, and I believe that people still get qualified people that merit jobs, they still get it. In the organization where I work, we don't give room for nepotism, and I have a couple of several organizations like that I know that you work in, you apply, and you get the job if you merit it. So we don't generalize issues. I believe that there's still room for meritocracy, you know.
Yeah.
We still embrace it in some parts of Nigeria, irrespective of the fact that in government sector, we could say maybe among the politicians, they give room for nepotism, and you can't really blame them. Because, for instance, if you have a councillor or a house of, maybe a member of House of Representatives or something, you have to fight for his constituency. Because when the person leaves that seat, those are the things that will speak for him or her.
Okay, thank you very much, Kania. There's an angle we've not touched, which I'll go on a short break because I want us to think about it. Our natural tendency of trying to refer those we know. So, for example, there are various groups: the Christian group, the Muslim group, the Yoruba group, the Shekiri group, the RCCG, everybody he's a member of our church now. He's a church member, and that's I want to say natural because we all have those small clusters.
Yeah, but no, this particular
and we always do it because we feel that.
But what you're talking about is actually not even a Nigerian problem. It's actually a world problem. I mean, if a British person sees a British person, even in a job that the Nigerian is more, of course, they'll definitely pick a British person first. So that one is different. Where I have big problem in, when people have to pay, right? And people who don't have money,
lose out
who are way qualified, are being denied of these opportunities. For me, that is even where my big problem is. Recommendations, you absolutely cannot stop it. It happens everywhere, right? But for this one that people are forced to pay is what I will never
So for us
accept.
to discover a very robust conversation, we need to start naming some of these people. Let me go on a short break. We'll come back because I don't understand how I have not really experienced it, but stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. As we've been discussing, we all agree on this table that racketeering is wrong. It's a crime. It's totally wrong. There's nobody going to justify it in any way. But the reason why we're trying to have a conversation is because to understand the reasons behind it. I was saying during the break that maybe population, the fact that 1,000 people get to first class across maybe 5 or 10 different universities and they all want this one job. Now, somebody who is corrupt now says, opportunity for me to make some money from this. Maybe the company, since everybody wants to come and work in my company, I might as well put a bill for if you can afford this. So we're looking for somebody who is financially buoyant enough to afford this. Now, it doesn't make it right. But what exactly could cause a situation whereby somebody feels that, aside from corruption, just because they need to make some extra bucks, but what is the cause and what kind of systems can the government put in place to reduce and make up to be able to absorb these 1,000, these really bright minds, such that they don't have to go and pay anybody to get employed? That's the real conversation. I'll come to you, Agnes. You wanted to share a story?
Yes, when he responds,
because
go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to give you a very simple instance. If you want to school in Harvard, there are two options. Either you pay or you apply for scholarship. That same spot that you're applying for scholarship or any of the Ivy Leagues, probably more than 100,000 children are applying for just maybe like a 50 slot. School fees is probably like $120,000, $180,000 a year, which is enough for the admission officer to do what? To write who they feel that is rich. Pay me 50,000, let me give you that slot, right? But what they are looking for is so many other criteria, which they keep making it more difficult every year because a lot more people are looking for that small slot. At the end of the day, they pick you based on what? Merit. And merit can be maybe your personal statement appealed more to them, right? Maybe your story. Maybe you had a history of Harvard in link. So something happens, right? Which is based on our entire, from the crowd. Those things that set you apart from the crowd is basically what they are basically going to use to do what? To assess you. Now you hear people say, okay, go and do IB, go and do this, so that this can, okay, IB has academic rigor, course rigor, right? To increase your chances of getting into these Ivy Leagues. Now, these things are normal, right? At the end of the day, they pick you. So this is based on what? Merit. But a situation whereby somebody sees that so many people are looking for that small slot, and you now want to charge,
the best thing to do is to charge.
automatically that is wrong. At the end of the day, see what happens. When the Harvard guys picks those people, these people excels in life and makes even the university a lot better. When you bring those people who pay, they come to the system and become nuisance.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. Toby had an example. I think I have a call. Good morning. Thanks for calling. You're live. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Aisha, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Yes, I just want to share my experience about this job racketeering happening in Nigeria.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah,
We
go
can hear
ahead.
you. Go
Yes.
ahead, please.
There's this job I applied for, a federal government job last year in October. And I know about 5 people who also applied for the job. It was online we applied. And since October last year, we got emails that we're supposed to take an aptitude test for the job. And we later got another email that the aptitude test has been cancelled, that they will get back to us so that we'll know when to take the aptitude test. And lo and behold, we're in June. We didn't hear anything, because I and the other people who applied were being in contact with each other. We didn't hear anything from them. Yesterday, I had to go to their website. I got a number from there. I called this number, and they said that the jobs we applied for, that the jobs are no longer available, that they've picked those they wanted to pick, and they've all received their appointment letter, and they have even resumed work. So I don't blame the member of House of Rep who gave her constituents the job, because personally, if I know any member of House of Rep, I can meet and beg to help me with a job. I will, because I am tired of applying online and not getting jobs.
Okay.
Seriously, it's a Nigerian. I don't know.
Thank you very much for
everywhere.
that, for that, Aisha. Because Aisha says she applied for a job. She knows 5 others, but she probably knows another 200 others that applied. But she only knows the 5 others. So that 5 others, because they've not gotten the job, in her own mind, they gave to somebody, maybe it was through nepotism or something. But the truth that others might have applied, because there's a lot of people who are applying for jobs, and there are very little jobs available. So sadly, unfortunately, we live in a country where we have not been able to create jobs and for employment for our citizens. So the tiny jobs that are left, there's a lot of people who are looking for that job. So I understand where Aisha's pain is coming from. But let's not say, Nigeria happened to us or this happened to us. It is the fact that they have limited spaces, and that is true.
I don't like that idea of limited spaces. See, I like system-based approaches. If there are limited spaces, tighten up your criteria. If it's still more limited, still tighten up your criteria. That is the way. Even normal visa application, they give them slots. We only need 200 for this month. And people are applying, they've seen a lot of rejection. Immediately they see any small error, they reject, but people still get it. So the point is, and this is the global best practice, if there are limited slots, make your processes more difficult. The point is that everything should be done on merit. I hate the idea of, because of the limited space, people have to pay. No, it should never be accepted.
Absolutely. Nobody will say that we should pay because there are limited spaces. But
I hear you, right? And that's valid. And you see, a lot of times we say Nigeria, the system and all of that, but I've been a beneficiary of the Nigerian system. So in my work as an entrepreneur, right, we had this National MSME Awards all across Nigeria where entrepreneurs applied for the application. And last year, so we've had 7 editions. I got nominated twice. I didn't know Jack. I didn't know anybody. I got nominated during COVID and then last year. And so when people ask me, how much did you pay? I'm like, I didn't pay anything. Who do you know? I didn't know anybody. And I got in, we had, when I received the mail, it looked like a scam because it was too good to be true. We had an all expense paid. We went to Abuja. We got lodged in an hotel. We went to the presidential villa. It was a beautiful experience. And so how well do you want to tighten such a process? So for example, we had about 16,000 applications and they were only going to choose 3 people. Imagine 3 nominees in each category.
And you're part of the 3? I
was part of the 3.
Imagine that.
And very randomly.
Randomly. So there are times
because you know what happened to your own?
What I'm saying,
you know what happened to your own? What happened to your own is very simple. Everybody in Nigeria is not bad. You may be lucky that the person that is in charge of the system that chose you came in and said, no, everything must be done on merit, even while he's fighting against his colleagues. A lot of people are good in Nigeria, and a lot of people are also bad. So you may be lucky, but the point is not about random good. We need to make good a standard across all boards.
Absolutely.
So because if you go back to that, if you try that thing again now, you may be unlucky that the person that is there just came in to do what? Only select people based on their choice.
No, I don't want us to go on with that narrative to say the person may be X, Y, Z. Let's think good, right? In terms of saying that in the next application. So for me, that type of, irrespective of whoever is behind the scene, right? The application is meritable. Right, and it is on merit. She had given an example also as well, where she got a job. You know, there are times when bad news will spread faster because of the fact that
good people don't talk.
Good people don't talk. We just don't talk,
so,
right?
Okay. So I want to also let you know that sometimes it goes beyond your degree. So you may be having like first class, but you don't have the right attitude. You get into a crowd. Most of the time when these people call for auditioning or they want you to come for a job, they are watching you beyond, and you will see they will tell you appearance, speaking ability and all those. So I think it goes beyond that. And most of these offices, they have processes, internal processes that you may not even. For instance, now when you have a public parastatal like the federal government, Radio Nigeria, you're looking for just 10 people, you have 10,000 applications, and you've seen the first 100, and you've seen the 10 that you want, and maybe you just feel, okay, there's no need going through the 10,000 when you actually have like the 10 that you need. So I actually feel that companies have their processes, and where I see this lagging, this racketeering and nepotism is usually the government jobs and offices, because private offices, they wouldn't want to jeopardize their image.
Our focus have always been in the public sector. I mean, private sector.
Let me take this call. I've been holding. I'll come to you, Chika. Thanks for calling your live. Oh, go ahead, Chika.
Okay, so my question and you know where my thoughts are right now is, you know, you spoke about sometimes this war against corruption being a lonesome battle where maybe it's just one person, one strong voice, you know, I'm speaking for doing what is right. How do you think that we can, you know, really champion those kind of voices so that in the long term we have these voices holding water and then having more people come on board to say we have to do this thing right, even in public parastatals? And how do you think we can ensure accountability a lot more in terms of transparency in public offices, for instance, transparency of how these recruitments are done, on what basis? How can we really demand and, you know, ensure that there's a bit of transparency? You know,
the best way to fix things is to fix it from the point of systems, right?
Okay.
If you fix it from individual point, you always make mistakes. Yeah. Because this person is good, next person is bad, next person is good, so you always keep doing those rotations. But for instance, as simple as a recruitment, we are taking it out from, like, let me use a very clear case study. I'm talking about the internship in teaching hospitals, right? You know that these students come to these places and the whole racketeering happens within those hospitals, right? No problem. Let's take out this whole process completely from the hospitals. Let's have like a department that does this thing. And as much as over time, that department may also be infiltrated, right? But at the first, for the fact that you've removed it from them completely, you know that you've already curbed out corruption at least by 60%. Okay. People apply, those departments, I mean, if you're lucky to be able to select credible people to do their selections and post them to those places. At the end of the day, you see that you've already cut out these things, and it's very systematic. I don't know if that makes sense.
I get
so
you.
If you do those kind of things, these are systematic, because the point is this.
Alex, the reason why I wanted to, I'm going to have to wrap up with this very soon, but what I'm still grappling, I don't want us to be hypocritical, because many of us in this country, we go through that process where one uncle pays for the niece, one brother pays. How much are they asking for? Just pay. So we also encourage it.
But there's something I want to know. We are not affected, right, in any of these things. The biggest point is this. You know, there are younger generations that are coming up who are definitely expecting to hope for a generation. Yes. If I am young and I'm listening to this, trust me, do you know what I'm going to do? Just go and attach myself to a politician. Learn how to be loyal for a while. I will not waste time to learn anything. No. Since I already know that if I attach myself and become loyal, I have a much higher chance to be a millionaire in few years than wasting my time reading what I don't know. At the end of the day, I won't have a way. So if everybody chooses that path, who is going to help to now develop the society? So the fight I'm talking about here is simple. It's about this new generation. I'm not affected. Nobody in my lineage is affected in any way. But it's really not about us. It's about the wider Nigeria. It's about that child in that village who has nobody, who knows nobody, but is sleeping, waking up, struggling every day to read his book, hoping that academics are going to launch and liberate the entire family. So if that person goes through that stress, and at the end of the day, that person doesn't get a chance, what is the hope? Yeah. So if that is the reason why we are saying no to this, not because of us, it's because of them.
Gotcha. I have to rush.
Okay.
I have to go. Want something?
Yes. We keep saying we're saying no to this, but I think that sometimes when we're able to hold one person and say, yes, we've caught you in this act, we'll still keep going round in circles. You've heard of internship in hospitals and how, but nobody is saying this is the person responsible. Calling them out. We're not calling them out, and we're just saying it as something happening behind the scene. And I think that when we begin to call out these names, we begin to call out these systems, placing fingers on them in particular, I think it will help.
Because what kind of benefit from it?
Exactly.
So you cannot benefit, but everybody just knows somebody. At least my nephew got a job because of somebody. So we kind of just keep mute. And then it continues. And
we
nobody
know
really
the
calls anybody to order. We have to wrap up on this. Yeah, Abika, want to say something?
I wanted to say, what's the role of individuals and what's the role of government to curb this, if you have to recommend?
For the individuals, raise awareness. For the government, take action.
Mr. Alex, you're very direct.
As simple as it.
Okay, we have to wrap up, but I think really in a nutshell, we agree racketeering is illegal, is wrong, because it's not about us. And I think I like what you said. It's about those young people who are studying. Education is not a scam. I know that. I was hired for my first job in this country. I do not qualify in any shape or fashion. I just doctored my CV for it, and all I had was I came from abroad, because back then once you speak for you're hired. Nobody wants to know if you have any clue. And I applied as human resource manager.
Oh my goodness.
And I went there with pride. I have never in my life known HRs. I got the job. The MD was proud. You see, I went for the best. All the way from America. She came here. And I'm thinking, Father Lord Almighty, nonsense. Now somebody was denied that job.
That has experience.
Somebody that probably has experience was denied that job. I got that job solely because I had an accent. So I mean, these things happen. They're all kind of good. I'm just hoping that we can change the system so that the proper systems in place will protect those who actually qualify to get those jobs.
On a lighter note, where did your accents go?
Nigeria has happened. I dropped it. All right, that's all we can take on this. Thank you very much, Mr. Alex, for having. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for coming.
We come back. It's Tuesday. We have to discuss sickle cell. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.